welcome to the Confident Healer podcast, YouTube version. I'm your hostess, Sharmila Mali. I'm also the creator of my 9-month Confident Healer Reiki training program. I hope you enjoy today's episode, and please, as always, like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Welcome to the Confident Healer podcast. I'm your hostess, Sharmila Mali. I'm also the creator and founder of my 9-month Confident Healing Reiki training program. And today I'm really excited because this is someone I've received energy healing from, and he's so amazing. And I was like, oh my God, I really want to interview him. So he's here today. So today we will meet a sweet and peaceful soul. He is a clinical and spiritual hypnotist based in County Galway, Ireland. He uses clinical hypnosis to assist people with a wide variety of common issues such as fears and phobias, quitting smoking, anxieties, and letting go of unwanted habits. In his work with spiritual hypnosis, he guides people to connect with their higher self and its vast knowledge and wisdom, as well as journeying through their soul's past experiences and incarnations to receive answers, clarity, and healing. He facilitates these powerful and often transformational experiences as a practitioner of past life regression and a level 2 practitioner of the late Dolores Cannon's quantum healing hypnosis technique, or QHHT. He is also a practitioner of 13th octave Lahu Chi, a powerful, and it is, yet gentle, very gentle, form of energy healing, which facilitates the release of old cellular memory and blockages, as well as anchoring high frequency healing light and energy into the physical and energetic bodies. He loves all aspects of his work with others and facilitates his hypnosis and energy healing sessions online with clients all around the world. So with a very big hug, please welcome Jonathan Finn. Yay! Welcome.
Thank you, Sharmila, for the lovely introduction. And thanks for having me on. It's great to be on.
Oh my gosh.
I'm looking forward to chatting.
Me too. So I have to tell you how we met.
Course.
I am an avid Reddit user. We'll just leave it at that. Spend way too much time on that. And there was a subreddit for energy healing, and he had Jonathan had posted on there. He was doing these 13th octave Lahu Chi sessions, and I was like, okay, I'll try that. And it was amazing. I had 2 sessions, and I have 2 cats, and one of them, Sabrina, loves energy work too. They both love energy work, but if she's there, he won't come. So my other cat, and I had to share this beautiful energy with her. I was like, oh, she's not gonna move. She was there right as soon as you started. She was there the whole time. It was so funny. And I was like, no, I don't want to share this. But I just can't tell you, Jonathan, how, I forgot to mention to you our first session, how I was it was really interesting because I was these good memories were coming up for me, and I was like,
wonderful.
We can just release those too. Just cut those cords and make room for new good stuff. And then I also felt like, because I get acupuncture like twice a month, and I also felt energetic. I was like, oh, okay. And then I totally forgot. Well, actually, I didn't really read all the benefits and some of the things. And when I went back to your Reddit post, I saw that. I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot to tell him that. So
yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, that's one of the things, it's like etheric acupuncture. That's one of the things. So it's funny you mentioned that it does actually feel similar to that.
Yeah, but energetically, like I could just feel, it was just like someone was going boop to my energy, boop here. It was very interesting.
Brilliant.
So let's go into the Lahu Chi 13th octave.
Cool.
How did you explain that? Explain everything. How did you come into it? What drew you into it?
Yeah, so basically, I came across it. A friend of mine came across it actually in a YouTube video. I think, I'm not sure what the channel was exactly, but it was discussing, the Pleiadians. It was basically discussing them and different healing modalities that they worked with, different forms of healing. And one of them was actually Lao Chi. And that was been around for a very long time. It was originally just Lao Chi. This was before the 13th octave was added. So it was around for a very long time, and it got lost then after the fall of Atlantis. And it was lost for centuries and centuries. And so it came forward then in, I believe, 1991. It was brought forward by a channel named Satchamar. So the original Lao Chi was brought back. And I believe it was 5 hand positions that was in that. It was kind of the basic form of it. But in the late 90s then, the 13th octave was introduced to it, and so it was expanded. And again, the 13th octave is, as you know, pretty powerful energy. It's a 7-dimensional energy that's brought down with it, and along with the 13th octave, there were additional, archangels, ascended masters that come in and work in sessions too. So it really just amplified and expanded the original Lao Chi modality. So again, you're working with those during the session and calling in that high frequency energy, that light, and anchors it into, the physical and the energetic bodies. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Wow, yeah, it's quite a big nutshell. Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah, as much as I could make it.
I was wondering if like the 13th octave had something to do with and then you said it was, like the 7th dimension, and I guess 13th octave had something to do with an Atlantean energy, I suppose. I don't really know that much about that.
Yeah, so it was. Lao Chi was originally brought to Earth by the Pleiadians.
Okay.
So it was very much their kind of thing, and it was really around up until the fall of Atlantis. So it would have been used then as well, and also Lemuria as well. Would have been very much around that time. There was lots of different modalities that were brought here to Earth that got lost. That knowledge was lost for centuries and centuries, and brought forward in different ways, whether it's through channels or downloads through people, whatever. But for Lao Chi, that was how that came forth, channel in the early 90s.
Wow. And go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, that was it. Yeah.
And so you just saw this YouTube video and was like, okay,
sorry.
What drew you to it? Yeah.
Yeah, so so my friend sent this on. I said, that sounds kind of interesting. I believe in the video too, they might have been talking about, med beds, and that different stuff. But yeah, so she was interested in doing the course as well. There was a course coming up, I think it was a couple of months down the line, and it was being facilitated online. But my friend was interested in doing it. And he said, that kind of sounds interesting. I was kind of curious myself, because I hadn't done any prior energy work. I did QHHT, but nothing, I suppose, what you'd say kind of hands-on energy work,
right.
Reiki and that kind of stuff. So I was a bit curious, and especially the background of it as well, that Pleiadian kind of background. So ended up taking that course then, the 13th octave Lao Chi training. And I think that was in September or October last year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, one of those.
Wow.
I'm going to say October, but not 100% sure. But it was an amazing training. Very good. Really, really powerful stuff. And then kind of after that, then to do the case study sessions. For certification. So we had to do 20 sessions to certify as a practitioner.
Did you say 2 a day or 20? No, you said 2 a day.
20. 20 in total.
Oh, 20 in total. So
yeah,
you were doing, okay.
Yeah. So 20 in total, and then, submit those to become a certified practitioner.
Wow.
Of it. But it's really wonderful, even, those sessions. As you mentioned, I worked with you. while I was doing those first 20 sessions, and it was really beautiful getting used to that energy and being around it. And so many of the sessions were different.
Mm.
Everyone had different experiences, and that's the great thing about the sessions and that energy. It's like any energy work, people receive what they need,
Right,
so it's
right,
going to be different for everyone.
right.
But so it was really nice to witness all that and just how varied it was, and the different experiences people had during those sessions. And I've loved working with it since.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so well, it was interesting because you said, oh, if you need more references, just go. And it's that was the second time that I received energy work from Reddit. I'm very active in the subreddit Reiki, of course, and so there was another person
Nice.
offering free, wanting to give free sessions
Mm.
for practice, and giving testimonials as well in exchange, and that was wonderful. It was beautiful experience. So I just thought, hey, why not try again? And so I didn't. So I had no
Yeah, just
idea.
keep doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, just like, well, why not? It's something I totally don't do, but just
No.
was, I don't know. I guess something I picked up in both posts, and I just, and then when I met you, I was like, oh my God, you have this. I just had. That's why I introduced you, like, because your energy is so sweet,
Oh,
like
thank you.
just such a sweet being, and and just like very peaceful, like you just there's something about you that just exudes that. So I'm not surprised that you have this whole other background too in hypnosis with Dolores Cannon and whatnot. And so that doesn't surprise me, but I am surprised that that was your first like kind of hands-on energy healing, because
Yeah.
with any type of work, this I don't I mean I sort of call it esoteric with I kind of put hypnosis in that, because
Yeah, that fits.
you're digging into someone's mind and their memories, and I mean, I know a little bit about hypnosis. I've had
Yeah,
it many times and
nice.
listened to, but just you're putting in uh suggestions of whatever it is that they want, suggesting that
Absolutely.
they change something and you can do it, just embedding these statements. And so it's very, it's all energy work. I mean, we're always doing that, just this exchange, just talking, it's everything's energy, but like doing that hands
Yeah.
on, that's really surprising. I mean, it was just such a beautiful experience, and I got a lot when I think about like what came up for me and what needed to change, because you didn't ask me like to tell you about it. You just said, if you wanted to set an intention, you don't have to tell me. And I was like, okay, I'll just I'll just
Yeah.
and just how things shifted, like things shifted with um like I had some anxiety about a couple things, and I noticed how that shifted, and it really helped me to shift my perspective. And the other thing too, I remember I was making these YouTube videos, and you're like, oh, and I had to memorize a script, and you're like, oh yeah,
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
yeah, you said, yeah, that'll be easy peasy. Don't worry about it. And I was like, oh, he's doing his hypnosis. I was like, yeah, you're right. He's right. It is easy. It is easy. And once I started to go through that, or go through memorizing a little bit before, I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time memorizing it, but just reading it a few times, it became easier, and I was able to
Hmm.
film almost like three different scripts. So yeah, I was just like, oh, that was so, because I had like
Excellent. Yeah.
such a block about it. I was like, oh, I don't want to, because I don't memorize anymore. I just, when I do these things, the only thing I read is the introduction, is someone's
Hmm.
introduction, or, I have it in my head, and I was like, but it had to be so specific, and that's why it was a script. And anyway, so that just, again, just how it helped me, how your energy work helped me get through that hump that I had, this mental hump that I had about memorizing. So again, the power of 13th octave Lahuchi through Jonathan. And then, so tell me about when did you discover Dolores Cannon's work and what drew you into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I discovered Dolores Cannon's work. It would have been, I think, 2017. I think it was about late 2017 or so. Um, I think it was on, it would have been YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a YouTube video. And, a lot of my clients say the same thing. It always seems to be YouTube, there's the conferences she used to do, or her videos, or the different stuff. I think the first one I saw, I think it was the one called Between Death and Life, um, which she basically talked kind of the same content of her book of the same title, Between Death and Life, and that was a lot. It was very eye opening, very mind opening, um, and especially as well, Dolores, watching it for the first time, I was like, oh, what's this? I put it on and I was going to listen. I think the video was about maybe an hour, between an hour and a half, part of her conference. I think one of the most surprising things as well is just kind of her appearance. Like she seemed like she could be your grandmother.
Right. Yeah.
She was just sitting there, just sitting there in an armchair, telling this stuff, just mind blowing stuff, and it all really kind of resonated. And she was very genuine soul, and I kind of just started digging further after that, further down the rabbit hole. Picked up a couple of her books, and kind of went from there, exploring her work, her books. Ended up having my own QHHT session shortly after I began the training, actually.
Right.
So I began the level 1 practitioner training, and then it was less than a month later I had my own QHHT session, and then I was working through the level 1 training. And again, for that, there's 25 case studies. You have to do those and submit to become a certified practitioner. So I did that, and then went on to do the level 2 training as well. QHHT it's really amazing work. It's, again, the biggest thing is helping people to connect with their higher self. That's, as you said, kind of in a nutshell,
right.
That's what it is. But there's a lot more to it too, of course.
Right.
Past life exploration, current life, parallel lives, different stuff. People regressing to source or lifetimes elsewhere, different planets. There's a lot in it too. But again, an amazing modality, and it's brilliant that Dolores spread that around, and the amount of people that are actually doing it now. It's definitely contributing to awakening.
Yeah,
for a lot of people, I feel so. Yeah.
Yeah, because she passed away, like, it's been a while, like at least 10.
Yeah, it was 2014.
Oh,
2014. 2014, you
wow.
passed away. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard her name, thrown around, and I was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember her from like the 90s, and I don't know too. I know who she is. I don't know too much about her work. And then, so what were you doing before you got into this type of healing work? Were you in another type of healing work, or were you completely different? Were you like a mechanical engineer or something?
Well, no, I definitely wasn't a mechanical engineer, but yeah. So before that, I really had no concept, of kind of I suppose, the spiritual world, the metaphysical, even anything along personal development. That was kind of my first step on the ladder. Like, I mean, I'm a musician, so that was really my main thing before getting into this work. So no, I wouldn't have really had much of a concept, of kind of the stuff I'm doing now. I'm sure if you told me a couple of years back that I'd be doing this now, I'd probably laugh. I'd probably laugh at you. But that's life. We learn and we grow and we change.
Right. What kind of musician?
going along for the ride. Um,
or
it was
maybe
mainly rock stuff,
did
but
you play an instrument or?
yeah. So guitar would have been my main instrument. I play a bit of bass and drums as well,
Oh wow,
but
okay.
that would have been the main one. So yeah, so it was an interesting transition, but I suppose similar in ways. It's that creative. It's that definitely more right brain than left brain stuff.
Right, right.
As you mentioned, I definitely wouldn't be a mechanical engineer, but yeah, so definitely that creative, that intuitive part of the brain. So that kind of links across nicely.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so that was really me before coming to the work I'm doing now, and that kind of started off with just the personal development stuff. I think The Secret probably would have been the first book,
Mm,
getting into the law of attraction, the metaphysical kind of stuff. And
right,
again, from there, it was just the rabbit hole down.
right,
Um, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton,
right,
Dolores Cannon,
right.
Eckhart Tolle, all those wonderful people.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And do you still play a little or did you just hang up? I mean, I can
Yeah,
imagine.
no, yeah, no, I still play a little, but not as much now. Yeah, it's just mainly as a hobby now. I used to, play out and gig
Hmm.
quite a bit, and I used to be in bands, but it's generally now just kind of playing for fun, as a hobby and for creativity as well. So
Wow.
that's kind of it for now.
Confident, talking about confidence. So what, the most important question, what,
Absolutely.
how did you, did you feel confident about like, okay, well, I'm going to learn this and I'm going to learn the quantum hypnosis, QHHT. You'll have to,
Yeah,
again, spell that
yeah.
out again. Like, was confidence building for you? Was that easy or hard when when you started doing this work?
That's a great question. Um, when I first began, it was funny. When I first began the training, it was really just out of curiosity. I don't think at the time I didn't think I'd actually get to the stage where I'd be
Mm,
facilitating sessions with people.
right.
I was just curious, and Joy is a big fan of her work, having read a lot of her books and watching her conferences and stuff. And the course, it was really just a curiosity thing. Again, I didn't think I'd actually get to the stage of doing sessions, so I just kind of jumped in and went through it. And before I knew it, the coursework finished. And it was like, oh, session time. I was like, okay. And when you're starting out, you're nervous,
Right.
um, especially with QHHT, because there's of what can actually happen in sessions, what people can experience, some really out there stuff. And there were definitely a couple of sessions, like in my first few, that was like, whoa, there's really advanced stuff that I wasn't aware of, um, stuff that just kind of blew my mind at the time. I was like, whoa, this
Like what?
is
Well, you
this
don't
is
have
a
to
lot.
mention names or anything, but
Yeah,
what
yeah,
was
yeah.
so mind blowing about what?
Yeah, there was one particular session. It was my first one where someone went to a past life, or you could say parallel life, um, as an ET.
Mm,
So they went to a lifetime as an Arcturian being, and they were an important figure. They were on a panel with lots of other different beings, and basically discussing Earth. Who has to go to Earth, answer the call to help Earth. That was kind of that person's role, but they were an important figure, and on the planet was Arcturus, and they kept referring to it during the session as the crystal planet,
mm,
which was cool. And the client also had difficulty speaking English throughout the session.
mm.
So we'd be talking in English, I'd be asking, what do you see and what do you see now, describe to me. And they'd say, I see this and this, and then they just bust into a different language, which is
Oh, wow.
Arcturian. It sounded very much like light language, but just going off. So that was really kind of that was above my pay grade
Right.
at the time. So yeah, so there was still a couple of Dolores's books that I missed, so I made sure to read those after
Right.
that and catch up on the ET kind of stuff. And um,
So how did you,
it was,
what did you, so did you, obviously you just went with it and was like, okay, I'll just, like what was your reaction? And because you're in the
oh
middle of
yeah,
facilitating the session for this
yeah, yeah,
person.
yeah, yeah. So it was fine. There was um, it wasn't difficult or anything to do. It's really the same thing. You're just they're telling you what they're experiencing, and you're like the inquisitive reporter,
Right.
and you're just kind of asking and getting a couple more details, asking questions and guiding them through the experience. Um, so that wasn't difficult, but I think it was more the content. It just kind of caught me off guard. It was pretty out there,
Right.
um,
Right.
bit further out than what I was aware of at the
Right.
time. But yeah, it was a really interesting session. There've been ones like that since, and well, I'd like to think that I'm a bit that I'm a bit more aware of um, that kind of level of stuff now. But yeah, it was very interesting. Those, especially those early sessions,
Right.
because there's such a vast amount of different experiences that people have.
Right. Especially
Um,
when you're just kind of new to all of this.
yeah, 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 definitely, definitely a learning experience. But it was beautiful, yeah. And so, I'm happy to have worked with lots of beautiful people over the past couple of years, and help them to help themselves.
Right.
Um, and I really think that's the kind of key thing. Whatever modality I'm using, whether it's clinical hypnosis, past life regression, QHHT, or 13th octave Lao Chi, whatever it is, I don't really view myself as the healer as such, or as the person doing the work. I'm just the guide, and I'm helping them to heal themselves, to helping them to make the changes in their own life. Um, that's kind of the way I look at it, and I think that that kind of takes a load off you.
Right.
It takes the ego out. So
Right.
you're
Yes.
not kind of I'm doing this. I'm just the guide. I'm the conduit for the energy, whatever you want to call it. Um, so I really think that does kind of circle back to you mentioned the confidence. I really think that was a big realization, realizing that it's not you in control of the sessions. 95% of what happens is up to the person sitting or laying in front of you, or on the other side of the screen, depending
Right.
on what you're working with.
Right. Right. Wow. Yeah, yeah, it's fascinating that you feel that way. Because it seems like probably because you're connecting with different energies and I mean, I don't know, just stop me if I'm wrong. And I'm only saying this because I've gone through that same experience. Like, you're connecting with an energy and like, oh shit, I'm not doing this. Like, it looks like it because there's me in the room, but it's not me.
Yeah,
You're a conduit, right?
conduit. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. That's kind of it. Sorry, go on.
no,
Yeah.
it's just fascinating too that it's great that they also with these, getting certified with the QHHT. I know with clinical hypnosis, you have to do a certain amount, to get your hours, to be certain you don't just go like, okay, here's your certificate, go out in the world. And I feel like that being able to do it, to do the thing that you're being trained in develops that confidence too.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, the more knowledge you have, the more experience you have, the better you can help people, and your confidence grows as a result of that. Um, when you're seeing results that you have when you work with people, and again, as I said, people, a lot of it is themselves, but at the same time, you have to have the skills to show them how to help themselves.
Right, right,
Um, if that
right.
makes sense.
No, yeah. No, it
you
does.
know,
And then, well, it seems to me too that, having that musicianship as a background and playing, out in the world playing gigs and self promotion, and um, this is where the other part of that confidence, not only as being a healing facilitator or a healer, we know who the real healer is here. Just using that word,
Yeah, yeah.
but also like, building a business takes a lot of so it seems like to me, from my perspective, especially with what you're saying, is that maybe that being a musician and being in front of people, it wasn't, even though the modality is vastly different, because music is very
Mm,
healing, and music brings a lot of joy, and it's fun, and playing concerts are fun, but that just sort of, you could just extrapolate that, being in front of people and like, okay, and telling people about like, oh, I'm playing here, like, oh, I'm doing this now, was that, am I right in that aspect? It seems like that confidence kind of
yeah,
came
that's a
through,
great question, and it's honestly something I've never even thought about. Um,
right?
so again, thanks for raising that. Yeah, that probably is the case. Again, I'd never thought about it, but I'm sure it does translate across. I'm sure there's some of that I'm bringing across from that, with regards to that confidence. And again, I suppose that networking too, because again, that's musician trying to get people come to my
Right,
gig, that
right.
kind of it's a musician's life. Yeah, so I suppose some of that kind of probably did come across. I'm sure, although I've never thought about it before.
Right, because
It's
you just
probably
do it. I'm fascinated
yeah,
because
yeah,
that was not my forte, was the marketing aspect of it. And so
yeah.
for you, just like, well, I didn't even think about it. I'm just doing it. I'm just telling people, like, that just like, easygoing kind of confidence. Like, well, why wouldn't I not tell people? Like that doesn't even occur to you.
Yeah, yeah. Like I wouldn't say I'm the most confident person in the world, but again, I suppose some of that does carry over, and kind of back to what we mentioned as well about my kind of view of helping people. Again, the confident healer. Um, it's I think that's what kind of gave me the most confidence, having that realization that that you're not doing all the work. That it's not. A lot of it is up to the person as well. If there's an energy healing session and someone doesn't want to accept, or they're resisting, or whatever it
Hmm.
is, that's fine. We all have free will, and it's the same in hypnosis sessions or anything else. Um, if people don't want to change, or if they don't want to make a difference in their lives, you can't force them. You can't
Right,
make
right.
them. We all have free will, so you know every choice is ours to make.
Yeah, it's so interesting to hear your perspective, um because I've been teaching Reiki for a long time, and not every person, once they learn Reiki, feel that way, because there seems to be, they feel like, oh, there's a lot of pressure on themselves to make something happen.
Hmm.
And for you to realize that so early on, like, oh, it's not me doing it. Just, that's just your whole attitude towards it. You already, not saying there's anything bad, because it's all an evolution, and you eventually get to that
Yeah,
point, and it's not right or wrong if you think that you're the one doing it or someone else. There's
yeah,
the source is doing the work, and their guides, the person you're working on, is also doing the work. But that, just not taking on that responsibility of, this person has a choice. I can't, I can show them where the water, I don't know if it's the same in Ireland, you can lead a horse
yeah.
to water, but
Twist
you
of
can,
water, you can't make them drink. Yeah, yeah.
you
That's
know,
100% great analogy. Yeah,
yeah. So it's just fascinating that you already, that is your thinking. So that informs your confidence about the work that you're doing. It's just mind blowing to me. It's like, wow, because not everyone thinks like that, Jonathan. I just want to let
yeah.
very
Um, yeah.
unique.
Again, I didn't.
What is
I
it about?
definitely wasn't. Well, I definitely wasn't always that way. I'm
Right.
sure, when I first started QHHT, early sessions, I probably put a lot more pressure on myself, thinking,
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Mm.
you know, what if, all that kind of stuff. And again, everyone has free will, so there's that thing too. But I definitely had a different mindset then early on, um, that it was kind of you know, me bringing the person into hypnosis, and it was my job for them to go into hypnosis, um, until I, discovered all hypnosis is self hypnosis. So,
What does
you
that
can't make,
what does that
so,
mean? Just tell
yeah,
me what
so
that.
yeah. So all hypnosis is self hypnosis. That's a pretty old phrase that's been around a long time, but it basically means that all hypnosis is self induced.
Mm.
So, the greatest hypnotist in the world can't make you go into hypnosis if you don't want to. So again, we're back to the free will. It's a consensual process, hypnosis, and it's a natural state we all go through anyways. People driving a car, people watching TV, scrolling through TikTok or Instagram or whatever. That's it's all hypnosis. It occurs naturally anyways. But so you're already a master going into it because you do it every day. It's just your brain waves changing. But really, that's what that is. When I came to that realization too, that it's not my job. I can't make people go into hypnosis. And I always tell my clients that too, because a lot of people have different conceptions about what hypnosis is and what
Right.
it isn't.
Right.
Well, one of the big questions is, will I be in control, or people think, oh, I can't go into hypnosis. I'm too strong-minded, or this kind of thing. Kind of expecting a challenge, like, oh,
Right. Right.
you'll have a tough time, to put me into hypnosis. I said, well, you're right, because I can't make you go in. What I can do is show you how to go there yourself. And they go, oh, okay. So, and it takes the pressure off, and then you're more confident as a result. And that's kind of the way I operate in all of my work, whether it's the energy work, clinical hypnosis, or QHHT, past life regression. Again, I'm just the guide and the conduit for the energy,
Right.
and it's up to the person to accept that. And, if they really want to change, if they want to accept the energy, whatever it is, depending on the modality, but it's a loop between two of us.
Right.
It's not, I think that's important, or at least in my mind, I think, that certainly makes the process easier, easier for both parties.
Right. Yeah, I know it's not a closed-ended loop because you're there to facilitate. So you both are joining together. They're coming to you for help. And sometimes there's resistance because they are afraid of some sort of change, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. It's a definitely, you're making a connection, so that creates a loop between the two of you, and that's where the energy exchanges. I mean, that's conversation. That's
yeah,
that's we're just breaking it down in a very quantum, in this esoteric kind of energetic way.
yeah,
um
100%.
but I just want to ask this before I forget, because I'm just
Yeah,
curious, like, you living in Ireland, and I've not been to that country, or England or Scotland. And so I'm just wondering what the climate is for this type of work. Like, is this common? Do people, are there, I mean, obviously, people are people, and some people are like, yeah, that's a bunch of rubbish, as some,
yeah, yeah.
or are people more open to it? I mean, because Ireland is the land of, magical beings.
Yeah, as I said, as you mentioned, everywhere is going to have people that are like, that's blah, rubbish, whatever. Um, Ireland, I suppose, in comparison to some other countries, Ireland may be a little bit behind,
Hmm.
but definitely growing. As definitely, awareness growing, which is great. As I said, a lot of my work is online too, so
Right.
that's not as big, of an issue.
Right.
But there's definitely a growing awareness in Ireland of the spiritual, the metaphysical stuff, and community is growing as well, which is amazing. To have, and to be able to connect with people as well, and make friendships, meet up, and stuff like that. So I suppose it is growing, definitely more than it had been in the past, which
Right.
is great. I'm sure that's going to continue as well.
Well, I thought it
You
was
know.
I thought it was interesting too that because I would have never posted on Reddit about offering a session, like I think that energy healing session is mostly people offering, like, oh, I do tarot cards for 25 bucks, so that one's kind of spammed. There's a lot of spam in
Mm.
there. And so I'm just curious, like, so is that what made you contribute to post on Reddit? Like, oh, I'm gonna go do this on Reddit, and how many people did you get from that post? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm not a big Reddit user at all. I'm
Really?
I'm not really. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm actually not.
How did you even like come
It's
across
strange.
it?
Like I was always aware of Reddit, but I never really use it. But
Well, that's a
I
good
was
thing.
just kind of, yeah, yeah. So again,
It's a
I
time
don't
suck.
know. Yeah. Doom scrolling. But yeah, I'm not sure what it was. I don't know if you want to say guided to post on it or whatever, but yeah, I think I was really just looking for people. I was doing my case study sessions for the 13th octave, the Lao Chi, and yeah, I think I was just kind of trying to find people, people that may be interested. And I knew, Reddit was pretty much just forum based, and there's a forum for everything. So I thought that's worth a shot. Um, I think I typed in energy in the bar, and then work came up after. I
Right.
was like, okay, yeah, it's like, that kind of sounds right. So I just went in and popped the post there. I forget what the description of the subreddit is, but that's kind of what it said on the tin.
Right.
Energy
Right.
work, energy work. So I thought, yes, I'm sure someone here would be interested in um, experiencing a session. And surely enough, you got in touch.
Right.
I think there was two or three others from that post as
That's
well.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. So it was, yeah, it was great, to connect with yourself and others as well, for people to experience that. But yeah, I don't know. The Reddit just came into my mind someday, and I just got the urge to post. So I'm
Wow.
sure I was I'm sure I was guided in that. But
Did you post like on Instagram and Facebook too? Did you have those accounts as
uh,
well, or?
just my personal Facebook. Yeah, just my personal Facebook, and then the Reddit post. That was really it. I
Oh,
got most of them from my personal Facebook, and then the Reddit. Then there was a couple. I said like about maybe four or so. And that was kind of it. That filled the 20 sessions. Yeah, it was 20
right.
sessions and a couple more.
Wow. The wor That's so fun. Oh, wow, that's so funny. Like you just because like most people when they don't know what Reddit is. And I'm like, how do you not know what Reddit is? It's such a,
Yeah, it's around quite a while. Like it's yeah, I was always aware of it, but I never really used it. But again, I just knew it was forum based. If you had a question about a particular topic, that's kind of even in a Google search. If you type something, you'll probably see a Reddit post come up as well.
right.
About that. So
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know a
there's a
lot of
lot of knowledge, and there's a lot of
yeah, unknowledge. People that
yeah,
think they're knowledgeable, but it's yeah, yeah, definitely.
love
It's
it.
definitely got all of that. But yeah, it's a great just you just get into discussions. What I always anyways, totally off topic, but what I always liked about Reddit were the comments because it just was so funny. People just riffing off each other and just like you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
start
This
laughing. I'm like, oh my God, this people are so funny on here. It's just
it's a different energy, isn't it?
yeah,
From
yeah.
from
Then
some different like Facebook or Instagram or
right,
whatever, or
right, yeah.
TikTok even. Yeah, it's definitely
Right.
its own vibe.
Yeah, yeah, it's very conversational, like, you can
Yeah,
definitely people are commenting like, "Oh, I love that." And then of course, I mean, you're a cat lover.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's a million subreddits about all types and people posting pictures of cats and sing. Anyway, so
I'm not even going to look because I'll
yeah,
stay scrolling for it.
yeah.
Just rabbit hole.
Yes, yes. But I'll just say that most of the memes, they start on Reddit. They come from Reddit. Like I'll see
Yeah.
stuff. I was like, I was like, yeah, I've already seen that cat video. I've seen that cat picture. Like, yeah, I saw that like months
Yeah.
ago. Like
Next. Give
it's
me
on
something
Yeah,
else.
it was
Yeah.
on Reddit. But I mean, anyway, but so funny. So you started with QHHT with Dolores Cannon's work, and then you got into clinical hypnosis. So what made you want to do clinical as well?
Yeah. So I started with QHHT, and I was working away with that, and again, it's an amazing modality. Um, and I think again, it was just curiosity, really.
Right.
Um, I suppose I just wanted to have more of just a greater understanding of hypnosis as a whole, and to work with different issues like things like quit smoking, fears and phobias, um, breaking habits, anxieties, different stuff. So again, it was really just curiosity. It was just kind of for my own for my own knowledge. I began a course, and then it kind of went from there. And practicing, doing practice sessions, and then ending up certifying in a couple of different courses, and then like the QHHT, going on then to actually work with people in the real world and help people with issues, lots of different kind of issues.
Right.
So really, it's just it's another tool in the toolbox.
Right.
As they say, if your only tool is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail.
Right.
So it's
That's great. I've never heard that actually before.
Have you not?
No.
That's a new one.
Yeah, that's a new one.
Every day is a school day. But so it's really, it's just different tools to use for different issues. That's pretty much it. But I definitely think that's benefited my work with QHHT as well, having that additional knowledge from the clinical background too. There's overlap between them for sure, and the extra clinical knowledge definitely lends itself well to that.
Right.
In the QHHT and past life regression too, which do stand alone as well. And again, that's hypnosis too.
Right.
So it's all interconnected.
Was that do they have? I mean, I can just only imagine that they would have, like Ireland would have hypnosis schools. So did you learn that in Ireland, or did you have to take like online courses like in England, from England, or the US? Or
Yeah, so I did. So they're all online courses that I did again at the time. At the time, kind of COVID was still around. This would have been, I suppose it would have been around 2021. There's still kind of, there was no really in-person events or trainings or anything like that. So online was kind of the route I went. And again, it was great. So I trained with a couple different trainers and schools, and
in your area or in
so online. So
well, I mean, were they? Excuse me. I mean, I know they're online.
Oh, so
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Were the location
in? No. So not from Ireland. So so one school in the US, and then in the UK as well. And there's a couple of different bits as well, kind of in around that. So I got 2 certifications from both those schools, and then do different stuff in the meantime. Different books, different online stuff as well.
Wow.
Just padding that out just to learn more. But
well, that's because I was going to ask you, like, well, how's the last 3 years been for you? But you've just been putting your nose to, just diving into curiosities that maybe you wouldn't have had time for, maybe if things weren't locked down.
Yeah, it's it was really I suppose since 2020 that was really a catalyst, so to speak, for growth. Again, there's a lot of stuff because you have so much free time and all this stuff as well. So I really just kind of jumped into that, and I suppose it never felt like, it never felt like work, or it never felt like it was just fun. And I love to learn new things. I love to grow and keep building skill set, all that kind of stuff. So just kind of curious, but yeah. So that's really just what I've been doing. Just building upon that, and
That's
here we are.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. I mean, it's just, yeah, you just like going down the road, like, oh, here's something new. Like, oh, okay, what's behind this door? And here
Yeah, pretty much.
learning skills, up leveling your skills. That's wonderful. Yeah, that's great. And I'm just wondering, like, so does your family know what you do? Do they understand it? Do they support you? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, they've pretty good idea of what I do. As I said, like the spiritual side of it, the QHHT is that side of it is probably the most out there. But yeah, I said, family are very supportive of what they do. Not
Right,
again, not everyone would understand it, but no one's kind of like, nah.
right,
But even if they were, that's everyone has. We all have free will. We all have choices. If something doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. You don't have to follow that road. I
right.
mean, like, years ago, I would have been the same. I'd have been like, rubbish. you know, so it's which is funny, when looking at what I'm doing now. So really, it's all just growth. We go through different stages in life, and get to different points, and we just grow. Our mindsets change, our beliefs change, our perceptions of the world
Hmm.
change. Um, so 16, 17-year-old me would have a very different outlook of the
Right.
world than current day me. Yeah, so again, everyone has that choice, everyone has that free will. So, if somebody doesn't believe or doesn't agree with what I do or whatever, that's fine.
Right, right,
You know, that's I'm going to do my thing. People can
right.
do their thing, and that's fun. We can all live in peace.
Right. Exactly, exactly. No, I was just curious because like I just from what I know about Ireland, and it's very family oriented, can be heavily religious, at least with the things that come out of Ireland. And it's very close knit families, for the most part, in whatever
Yeah,
whether it's functional or dysfunctional. But it's very, it's like that tribal sense, right? So I just, kind of curious, like
yeah,
what
yeah.
your
No, it's a great question.
family thinks about that. So that's great. That's good that, they, whatever, they're just like, whatever you want to do, we love you and we support.
Yeah, religion isn't as big as it was in Ireland, which is probably a good thing, because there was a very, Ireland, as I said in the past, was very, very religious,
Hmm.
um, and there was a very strong hold. Religion had a very strong hold on pretty much everything here. It had a strong hold on the government. It had a strong hold on the way people lived. So that's definitely lessened in in the past few years. I could say past 2 decades or
Right.
so, which again is a good thing. That's people are freer to live, kind
Right.
of
So were you
that way.
I don't, I'm not quite sure what your age is. So were you, were you around during during IRA? Like, cause that was like in the
No, that
90s.
was yeah, that was a lot after my time. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So you were born into a world post IRA, post Sinn Féin and the violence and
Oh yeah, yeah. That
okay.
was yeah.
Okay.
I was born. Yeah, I was born in '98.
Okay. So
Yeah,
yes, because
so
it was,
yeah,
I think it was like the mid 90s. I can't remember when they call it, it was like a ceasefire. But yeah,
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 yeah.
so that's interesting too for me to, meet
Absolutely,
somebody
yeah,
that post that, because I met a lot of Irish people who grew up in that very violent time and fear and Yeah. So that must be, so just coming out of that, it's a completely different reality for you, you know.
It is, yeah, absolutely. Just said between people who might have been old enough to be around during that time and um, remember events from that time, and yeah, it was very different, environment and way of living for a lot of people that were exposed to that. So, again, I suppose the Ireland I grew up in is very different from the Ireland that people grew up in back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. 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 So that, yeah, it's just interesting to, yeah, to have that perspective too, and to, to grow up in a world, where, yeah. So it's just interesting, like, and when then the advent of the internet just blowing up like in the 2000s, right? And then you have access to all this information, and that you might not have had before, something that only if they came to your area, you're like, oh, what's that, what's this hypnosis, who's Dolores Cannon, like that's,
Yeah,
yeah, the internet is, it's Pandora's box, it's just anything.
it really
It's
is,
it really is. you,
definitely.
you can take it one way, or you can take it a whole other way, so
Absolutely.
and the other thing too, I just think it's fascinating, is just your whole, just your whole marketing approach. Like I saw that, you've been posting a lot on Instagram, and putting up, the whole point of being on Reddit was like, oh, it'd be great to get video testimonials. So I'm just, did you work with a coach, or is that something, because I know sometimes clinical hypnosis schools will teach business skills. So I'm just wondering where you got that idea from.
Yeah, so there was
Because
little
testimonials
bits.
are hard to get.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
hard to get. Oh my God. You have to like constantly like, hey, remember to do this. But sorry, go ahead.
yeah. No, again, yeah. I suppose that was the thing. I think from the QHHT trainings, that was kind of covered a little bit in that.
Oh, okay.
Just with the testimonials. So it's kind of just something I did. Um, Building that up. During the case study sessions too, and then kind of prior to that as well. No, I wouldn't go asking everyone, but generally testimonials I get to be just someone checking in and say, hey, hope you're keeping well. Just want to let you know this happened, or I'm feeling this way, and that's oh, thanks, that's great. Do you mind if I share that? Like, yeah, no problem. So that's kind of my testimonials these days.
That's
Um,
great. That's
it's really just people checking in, saying, oh, thanks again, or yeah, I'm feeling this way. This happened, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, it is.
well,
I
that's
think it
huge.
is good practice,
Definitely.
because a big mistake. I think a big mistake to make is assuming people know everything that you do.
Right. Yeah.
you
That's
know,
that's the
and we
big
can be kind of
mistake
guilty
I've
of it.
made in the
Yeah,
past.
yeah, that same too. You know, um, it's good to let people know what you do, um, and not just kind of like people are we can tend to be kind of very like someone asks you like, oh yeah, it's just that, it's nothing, we can be kind of reserved sometimes, and yeah.
Yeah, that was me. That's still kind of me. Yeah, I just,
Yeah, so it's really kind of I suppose stepping into that and letting people know, and again, it's if you kind of reframe it to I have these skills. um I don't want to sound like Liam Neeson, but I have I have these skills, you know,
I have a very particular set
that
of skills.
yeah, exactly. You know, you have a particular set of skills to help people, whether it's to discover something about themselves or to improve their life, to change their life. When you have those skills, that you can actually help people to live a happier life, live a healthier life, a better quality of life. Really, it's it's almost like a duty then to kind of let people know that you actually can help them.
I'm laughing
The
because
Liam Neeson quote,
no, I'm laughing because it was so hard for me. And so that's why I do this podcast, because to let other people know, like, hey, how did you do that?
Yeah.
How is it for you putting yourself out there? Because that's something that was just very, and I'm very extroverted, but when it comes to like things I do, I mean, it's a whole thing. And so like you sitting here saying, it's like, yeah, those are the obvious things, but no, not for, that was not, it's not so obvious for some people.
Yeah.
It can be very difficult.
Yeah, no,
That's
I,
why I'm
I totally
laughing. Like,
understand that. Yeah. Like I was the same, I was the same as well. I wouldn't tell, especially kind of, as I said, I began with QHHT, and that's again very esoteric, very out there for some people, so if people that ask, oh, what's that thing you do? I kind of dance around it a little bit,
mm-hmm.
just kind of try and downplay the
Right. Yeah.
wonderful weirdness of it all. Kind of try and downplay that. So I did that. I did that for a while. Um, so yeah, that didn't really come naturally for me either. It's kind of something I had to work on.
Mm.
You know what? I'm doing what I'm doing. Um, I can help people with this. If there's going to be people that don't like it, there's going to be people
Right.
that disagree. That's fine. They're not the people I'm trying to help. And again, you'll attract the people that resonate with you. That's a big part of it too.
Right. But you
You
still have to
know,
tell people so that they do know.
yeah,
They
exactly,
don't just
exactly, and
come. You
you
have
know,
to kind of put a sign up and let people
magical,
know.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
and the right people, out of whatever sign you put up or whatever posts you make or whatever, there's probably going to be people that see that and like, what the hell is that?
Right.
Block, unfollow, or whatever,
Right.
whatever it is. And then there's going to be people that are going to be interested in it and say, oh, I like the sound of that. That resonates with me, whatever it is. So again, you're gonna run into both people. Really, you just want to focus on the people that resonate with you, um, and just kind of go for it. Really,
Right.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, that's what, that's why I do this podcast, so that people that are thinking of doing this or are, in their beginning stages or whatever stage they are. I mean, I had been doing it for a long time, and that was such the hardest thing, was for me to put myself out there. And so with the
It
podcast,
is
it was really easy just to talk to other people about it, and that really helped me, build my confidence with my own, business skills and or marketing.
it's amazing.
Um, and because it's not easy and you don't always, some people, they're just like out the gate, like, oh shit, yeah, they just take it and run with it, and for some,
Yeah,
it's just like, it's they're schlepping shit, like for me, it wasn't a marathon, it's been a long ass fucking sprint, which is
yeah. Slow and
totally
steady wins the race.
totally the way it is, and I just had
Yeah,
to accept that. So and it's great that you were that you're sitting here saying like, oh well, it wasn't like that for me in the beginning, and like
yeah, absolutely, definitely not.
how like that is for anyone learning anything new, and where you have to you have to keep your practice going, just like, you don't just
Yeah,
pick up the guitar and just like start shredding. Like there's a progression, and you have to
yeah,
keep practicing, whether, and practice, not just like, you know practice meaning doing it. You just keep doing the work, the thing that you're being trained in, no matter what, whether you're getting paid or not. Even when you're getting paid, I still call it a practice, because it's all
it's all, yeah, it's
doing
all
it.
experience, it's all
It's all
growth, it's all
experience.
learning.
Right,
Yeah,
right, exactly. So
yeah, that's
yeah.
very well said.
Well, thanks. Been thinking about that shit for a long time. Do you have any upcoming events for yourself, or any specials you want to talk about?
So as far as events, I've nothing really coming up at the moment. But I do plan on running in the near future some group workshops online. So some of those would be past life regression group workshops, which are very fun. They're
Yeah.
based off Dolores Cannon's. She often did those herself. Group regressions, past life regressions, meeting guardian angels, spirit guides, and a future life exploration as well. So I do plan to run some of those in the future online. So they'll be fun, and there'll be some other stuff as well on the clinical side as well. Different workshops that I'll be cooking up in the future. So
Great. All right. Well, I will start to close this out, and I just want to so the best way to learn about that, I guess, would be through your social media and website, which is
absolutely.
so you can contact Jonathan through Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Jonathan Finn Hypnosis, and his website is jonathanfinn.ie. You can find him there with these future events that he's going to be putting up. And this will all be in the show notes, how to spell his name, where to find him on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and his website. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Knowledge. Yeah.
Thank you for having me on. It was brilliant chatting. I really enjoyed it, Sharmila. So thanks a million once again.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
It was great fun.
Give me a hug. Goodbye. Thank you. So wonderful. Yeah, please. He's amazing. So if you need work,
thank you. I appreciate it, Sharmila.
Reach out to Jonathan. I look forward to my next sessions with you. And with that, we'll close this out. Thank you so much for listening.
Wonderful.
And this is the Confident Healer Podcast. My name is Sharmila Mali. We will see you next time. Bye.